Alright, welcome back. How to save yourself free from a bad relationship. Step 1. Decide once and for all that you want to live. Step 2. You have to see them as oppressor even they are highly respected loved one of the nicest people in the eyes of others. It is absolutely necessary for you to see them as a oppressor if you want to break free. Step 3. Seek help from capable, caring people. Step 4. Be completely invested in knowing yourself because it will provide you all sort of amazing possibilities for your future. Step 5. The most important step once you leave, never ever look back. Do not try and find out what is happening with them, how they are, what they are doing, what they are uploading on social media. Close that chapter completely from your life. How to never get trapped in a shitty relationship. You need to have your concept clear about what a stable relationship is supposed to be. A relationship does not mean giving a person authority over your life. In a relationship, self respect should never be compromised or replaced by anything. The happiness from companionship comes from the needs to be loved, understood, and valued by someone. Self respect comes from self control. There is no correlation. Self control will ensure continued respect from your partner. Knowing what you are and staying true to yourself will give you credibility and trustworthiness in their eyes. A relationship should be looked as a partnership between the two people. Therefore, a careful selection of a partner is required, not a random choice out of desire, urges, and tendencies, which are the criminal elements. Finally, the self must always remain supreme. That doesn't mean you won't become habitual to the other person or even addicted to them. The supremacy of self help maintain the thin line between addiction and dependency. In the relationship, if the relationship doesn't work out, the addiction will wear off gradually after a month. But dependency is a virus which makes you think there is no option but the other person. So, despite knowing that this relationship is toxic, mentally abusive, or breaking all the unacceptable rules, you are all you are unable to break away. You think that without them you don't exist. This is the poison of dependency. What you need to know and feel is your life is you have yourself all at all times. From this you can imagine why working on yourself is so important. Others don't dare to fuck with your nation if you have a strong leader. And when they do, the leader knows how to take care of you. Yourself is what you have. Why not get busy knowing it and empowering it? Chapter 16. Learning how to think. Ah, you have made it to the penultimate chapter. Welcome and congratulations, mate. This might possibly be the most important chapter and really heavy too. So let's jump So let's just jump into it. How to think is basically not knowing what to think. There you go. It's simple as that. Well, not really. I mean, if you understood it, then it really is that simple. The problem is that it's a simple idea that has been made too complicated. So, to reach that simple part, we will have to first get rid out of the complicated bullshit. First, I must acknowledge something, how to think. Maybe the confusing phrase to you, you might call it critical thinking, logical thinking, or higher thinking of some sort. How I see it as in a simple way, a person who knows how to think properly. So let's begin. I am sure you have heard of phrases like think differently, out of the box thinking, open your mind, rewire your brain. They genuinely sounds like amazing abilities, but the problem is you don't know how to do that. They seems like impossible, unique things to achieve, and it become a fantasy in your mind. You may think it means thinking like Sherlock Holmes or some wise religious figure or some weird guys with a 40 degree to their names. So The way we seeing it is like this. People who know how to think are equipped with a super intelligence, knowledge, and understanding of how this world works. Their mind works better than yours. They know more than you and they think better thoughts than you. Then you wonder, how do I learn to think the way they do? It becomes a superpower in your mind, and such people become involved being. Achieving it become a fantasy. The fantasy of having higher intelligence. When something that cool sounds become a fantasy, it become a highly sought after thing by a lot of people. So it largely takes people to three places. First, people join cult in the name of higher thinking, since it is a type of intelligence that seems impossible for normal mortals to achieve by themselves. The process of developing this ability becomes a Hollywood movie in your mind. You think it involved higher learning, sitting on the same spot, eyes closed for hours on end, thinking about nothing, learning mantras in your language you don't understood, repeating them and translating them on Google. Upon reading the translation, finding out there is no sudden change in your thinking, feeling a hint of disappointment as it didn't even make you think. You therefore convince yourself they are too profound for your current state of limited understanding. A lot of people are doing this good for them. Second, people think they will become fictional character. Since it is a fantasy in your mind, achieving it will bring you acceptance and popularity. Because you had practically be like a genuine fictional character, the truth is it doesn't change how the world treat you. Because the world remains the same, however, you will learn how to deal with it in a better way. Third, people become followers. Because because it's a fantasy, you become a follower of people who claim to have this ability. You start relying on them for solution to your problems, become dependent on their program, classes, workshop, and are willing to spend any amount of money because you believe that you will attain what they have at the end. That doesn't happen either, because if you did, then how will they earn? Anybody can learn how to think. It's rather dull and require from you a lot of commitment over a span of year. You might think, year, fuck that. That's understandable, but it doesn't mean you can't focus on other things. Pursue whatever you want. This ability is built silently and simultaneously in the corners of your mind. The way you think right now depends entirely on how you were taught to think as a kid. You are must curious at that age. So at that age, whenever you were curious about something, there is a huge possibility that you were given a packet of information about the things, and that was meant to make you satisfied and stop thinking about it. This is what it is. Kid, move the fuck on. When this become your method of thinking, packets of information came from three sources: from parents, friends, and people that you trusted, from television show, movies, and people you watched on the internet, from your own feeling based on your personal experience. You didn't learn to doubt, question, or how to formulate your own opinion. Your method became relying on packets of information and believing them. And when you believe them, you receive a sense of satisfaction which closes the need to further think about it. You think you know about it now. The thing is, it has remained unchanged to this day. That's how you still think. Let's take an example. Somebody asks you, how do I get a girlfriend? In your mind, you will look into all the information you have on what girls like, what girls want, and what a guy should do. These packets of information make you believe that you know the answer to this question, even though this knowledge is hardly even been experienced or questioned. Compared to other alternatives and theories, there is no information on the longevity of the result. You actually haven't even considered these things. The curiosity of finding out has been replaced by the satisfaction from knowing, even if it bullshit, but because you have been trained to look for information from the outside. If one packet doesn't work, you look for another. since countless others are available just a click away. There is al- there is also why most of your problem remain unsolved. You rely on packets of information instead of thinking about it yourself. You seek some magical information that will solve your problem immediately. Somebody who will guide you and explain to you what you need to do. Are you able to solve your problems? Do you start searching for articles and video the moment you have a problem? Before reading the article with the hope of detailed magical solution, do you first sit down and try to solve the problem, giving point by thinking on your own? You don't. You are habitual to receiving solution, the ideas and information from the others. So how do you expect to learn how to think when you hardly ever practice thinking? Whenever somebody come to you with a problem, you do the same with them as well. You give them packets of information the way you give it to yourself from the internet or other people. That does three things. The focus is never clearly on solving the problem. The focus is more on duty of providing help and how that makes you feel. I feel so happy that I helped them. The focus is on selling that you know what you are talking about because you don't want to appear incompetent, which really is a sign of incompetence. The truth about intelligence. So, thinking differently in theory requires two simple things: discovering a new way of looking at something, a way that you haven't thought of until now. Since it is new way of looking at something, you would have to ignore what you would normally think of that thing. For example, we live in a time where the majority of the news media organization tells us how to think, what to feel and what to say. They don't leave any space for a person to make up their own minds about it. There is a teaching human what to think. This training begins at very early age, and unfortunately in many cases the first people to do this to children are their parents. How to think is the opposite of that. It's a way of thinking in which you use your mental facu- faculties and make up your mind independent from any influence, narratives, and bullshit being sold to you. This is an oversimplified example to you give you a sense of what I am talking about. So, the first step of developing how to think require you to not know how to see the first how to see the thing at first. It requires you to be clueless because only then you will start to look for clues. And for you to start looking for clues, you will have to abandon all the way you learn how to see things from before. Only then only then can you come up with a new way of seeing it. This is how creative thinking works as well. I will tell you once more in a different way. When you have to think about something, you forget every single thought that exists before about it. You start from zero. You start from I don't know. I understand. If even now it feels a bit heavy, there is a reason for it. We live in a world that largely celebrates knowledge, not intelligence. When people when having knowledge is enough, most people don't care about thinking. Actually, most people think that knowledge is intelligence, and they cannot be more wrong. The idea that the person who has several degrees in intelligence is a highly misplaced idea, but we think like that. So, in school, we teach kids to learn as much as they can. Learning can be achieved by hard work. What about teaching kids how to think? We don't do that yet. A degree is a certificate of skill. Therefore, someone with degree is a person skilled in those subjects, not the fucking thinkers. And without the ability to think critically and creatively, people largely remain unimaginative skilled worker. This has insane implication in all areas of our life and the way we think as society, because this is exactly how we become followers as well. Let's dive into this properly. Alright, this was for the day. I will see you in the next video. Till then, keep going. I'm rooting for you.